Hello friends, family, and internet strangers. Stephanie here with a Thanksgiving sides video for you. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday and I am all about the Thanksgiving sides. In particular, a family favorite that has been passed down from my dad and his dad before him, and all of my cousins can make this as well. It is our family stuffing. We love this stuffing in our family, and if people mess with our stuffing recipe, we get very angry. Or in particular, I get very angry. I don't know about my cousins, but one year my aunt tried to put apples in the stuffing, and I told my mother every year from now on we will be offering to bring the stuffing to Thanksgiving dinner. So let's get into it. We are going to start this off by getting our bread prepped. You could cut your bread, but I'm just going to tear it up like I'm feeding it to ducks, although we probably shouldn't be feeding bread to ducks. This is going to be 2 loaves of white bread and 1 loaf of wheat bread. You could use all white bread if you'd like, but I choose to mix it up a little bit. We're looking for small pieces, and I'm just going to leave this out and let it get a little bit stale. I left mine out overnight. And then I'm going to also prep all of my chopping, my slicing and dicing, which always makes me think of Mindy over at Slice of Life. If you do not watch her channel, you should check that one out. I'll leave a link down below. But I am going to slice and dice some onions. These aren't a full dice. These are just really thin slices that I am making here. I'm also going to chop my celery in a very fine manner as well. I am using 2 onions and an entire package of celery because I am not making just a small amount, even though it is just me. I am making a full amount of this because I love this. It is really good as leftovers, and I plan on giving some away. Also, this is one thing that I have not mastered the art of making in small batches, so a full batch is happening. Now here's the strange part. People always look at me funny when I do this, but this is about 1/4-inch slices of pepperoni and capicola, and then I've got provolone. I normally also get the 1/4-inch slices, but I had thin slices, so I decided just cubing them up would be fine. So you might be thinking, I thought we were making stuffing. What on earth is this? This is my family's Italian stuffing. Everyone always thinks it is very strange until they try it. And then I have to make it every year, which I do not complain about, because if I do not have this at Thanksgiving, it is not Thanksgiving to me. This is the one thing that if I don't have this, it's not good. I mean, I am fine having Thanksgiving away from my family. I've gotten used to it. I always work jobs that don't really give time off around the holidays. But if I don't have this, it's not pretty. So next day, we are gonna cook up the rest of this. This is 2 packages of just plain pork sausage. Just the rolled pork sausage is all I've got going on in here. And I'm just going to brown it up, get all of the fat off of that, and add the poultry seasoning. This is what makes this stuffing, honestly, other than the meat. The poultry seasoning is so important, and it is going to look like I am adding a lot of this, but after I drain off my meat, I'm adding more, and then I add the onions, and then more poultry seasoning, and then the celery, and then more poultry seasoning, and then I'm going to add some water on top. I just did about 1.5 cups because I want to put this over a medium heat and put a top on it and then just really steam this in with the sausage. I pull the cover off a few times to mix it up, but I am cooking this all the way until my onions and celery are just melting into that pork sausage and adding more and more poultry seasoning as I go. So again, this is going to seem like a lot of poultry seasoning. I honestly used about 3/4 of this 0.75-ounce container from Aldi. You could also use, we normally do the Bell's seasoning, that's the one in the yellow box, but I didn't find that, so I just went with the Aldi kind and it tasted exactly the same. So pretty much any poultry seasoning could probably work. But if it looks like a lot, it is. But keep in mind, this meat mixture here is the only seasoned part of this whole thing. And we've got 3 loaves of bread that we are soaking. So it needs a lot. So if you taste it and go, oh my gosh, that's strong, That is exactly what you're looking for. You want it to be overbearing because it won't be once you add it to the bread. Next up is my favorite part, the bread squishing. So I have now taken my dehydrated stale bread and soaked it with water, and I'm squeezing the water out. I want it to be really soft and just giant globs of bread. So this is the consistency that we're looking for, is this consistency right here. And then once I've got that consistency, it's time to add the mix. And now I'm not going to drain anymore. So any excess water should be drained before this. Instead, once I mix this up, which I'm using a spoon while it's still hot, and then I will use my hands again once I have it cooled down a little bit, but I'm going to add something else to soak up any excess liquid, and that is going to be some bagged stuffing mix. You can use whichever brand you like. We just do a little bit of this, and that soaks up all the excess juice that comes when you add the meat and onion and celery, because I don't drain that at all. I leave all the liquid that evaporates in there, not evaporates, but all the moisture that accumulates, it's going into the stuffing and then getting soaked up into the stuffing mix. Now, my dad always said that the secret ingredient to this was the dirt underneath your fingernails, but I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so I use gloves. Once I've got everything mixed up, I put half of it into one pan. This is a 13 by 9 and it fills it up completely. And then the other half gets all of the meat, because I do both our regular stuffing and then the Italian stuffing, which is the one that gets the meat and cheese. So I just stir that in with my hands as well, pop that in a pan. Both of these are going to be covered in foil and put in the refrigerator overnight. This is a great thing to do the day before Thanksgiving, which is my favorite day of the year. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, but my favorite day is the day before, because that's where most of my fun Thanksgiving memories are that night before, getting everything prepped, making the stuffing, squishing up the bread, helping my dad in the kitchen, having my cousin come over who lived out of town, and watching all of my Thanksgiving shows. I always have to watch certain shows. I will leave a list down below in the description if you want to check out my holiday playlist. But these are going in the fridge overnight, and they're really going to absorb that flavor. Then you just have to pop them in the oven next day. While the stuffing is my favorite, I also wanted to show you a few other sides. So my other favorite side at Thanksgiving is sweet potatoes. I do sweet potatoes with apples. If you are new to my channel, you probably haven't seen me do this before, but if you've been here a while, you have seen me do sweet potatoes with apples multiple times, but this is, again, a different variation of that combination. So I am slicing these up into large chunks, and I'm going to boil them with the skin on. And I'm not going to get them completely cooked all the way through, but I am going to boil these covered until the cover starts to pop off. And then I'm going to keep them boiled for about 20 to 30 minutes. The consistency I'm looking for is being able to put a fork in it, but not having it fall apart. You can see it, the skins are starting to peel off on their own, which makes this super easy the next day to peel those off. You don't have to do it day before. I usually do out of ease and tradition, because my mother always did it the day before, and then it's easy to work with when they're cold. So this is the following day, and these are slicing up so nicely when they're cold, and I'm just getting thin slices, not too thin, but probably about 1/4 of an inch thick. And next up, I'm going to do my apples. So it's easy to shake these up in a bag, and it's even easier if you put that bag in a bowl so you can get everything coated. So I've got a bag in a bowl. I'm adding some lemon juice, and then I'm going to use 2 apples. So I used 4 small sweet potatoes, and then I'm going to use 2 apples. Usually I use about half the amount of apples as I do sweet potatoes, because that's the best ratio that I have found. I'm going to do my apples one at a time so that they don't get too brown before they get in that juice, and I'm going to slice them thinly. I like to make sure I get all of the core out. I have issues with texture, and I do not like biting into a piece and it's got that little hard part in it. So I also like to do this over a paper towel, because look at that easy cleanup after I've done all of my peeling. Once I've got these peeled, I am going to put them with some brown sugar. I'm using 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, and then I do not measure cinnamon. Cinnamon for me is one of those things that you measure with your heart. So I just coat it completely in the cinnamon, and then I'm going to shake it up. I noticed it didn't have enough cinnamon, so I added even more, and then shook this up, and it was ready to get layered. So I am going to layer these in a pan. It's going to be really juicy, so you really don't need to grease the pan. I'm putting a layer of sweet potatoes down, and then a layer of apples, and then a layer of a little bit of butter. So I had a little bit of cubed up butter, just thin slices that I put all around, and then I'm going to repeat that same thing again. Cover this in foil and stick this in the oven for about 30 minutes, right at 375 alongside the stuffing. Doesn't matter too much what temperature you do this at, because the sweet potatoes are already fully cooked and the apples will cook pretty easily. And last up, not going to go too much into detail with this, but I mashed up some cauliflower. I just beat this with butter and heavy cream, added a little bit of garlic, salt, and some pepper, and a dash of cayenne, and this was my third side. Figured I should probably have a healthy one. This is simply steamed cauliflower that I'm going to beat until it's a kind of mashed consistency. And here we have it. Here is all of my favorite Thanksgiving sides. I'm a big mashed potatoes person, but I didn't want to do mashed potatoes this day. So I've got my nice Italian stuffing, my regular stuffing, and then we've also got that mashed cauliflower, and then our sweet potatoes as well with the apples. It looks a little bit dry, but I swear it's not. I ate this for 3 days. It was very good. In case anyone was concerned that I was going to be eating all of that food for myself, that is not the case. So these 3 each have some stuffing and sweet potatoes. That is going to be lunches for the next few days because, you know, there's meat in the stuffing. That's protein, right? It's a meal on its own. So that's lunches. And then all 4 of these are being given away. I love feeding other people. I love bringing people food. So these are all being given away. And then these 2 are either being given away or frozen. Haven't decided yet. Depends on if more people are wondering why I didn't bring them any stuffing, if I bring it to other people. So these are still up in the air. But the rest of this is all either lunches or going away. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you have any interesting side dishes that you make for Thanksgiving, leave them down below. I would love to hear some of your family traditions for the holiday. And then don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I hope you would do so if you enjoy these videos so that you don't miss any of them.